Hey there, scrappers and YouTubers, it's the Shark. Well, this video is posted as a shout out of sorts to one of our contributors, a guy named Apartment Scrapper. A couple days ago, he posted a street scrapping video where he found an HP all-in-one computer. Now, I just happen to have this Gateway all-in-one computer, so I decided I'd go ahead and scrap it out and give him an idea of what to expect when he gets around to scrapping out that HP. If you haven't seen any of Apartment Scrapper's channel, I recommend him. Go give him a look and subscribe to him. All right, well, let's dive in and see what we find in here. Hey everybody, it's the Shark. All right, well, let's get into this Gateway all-in-one. I'm sure that this is not uncommon to a lot of folks now. It's you know, it stands up, it looks like a monitor, but it's really a computer. So I'm expecting to have some sort of small motherboard inside. So let's see what we come up with, huh? Okay, so the first way into this is like a lot of monitors. There's no screws on the side. You just get your screwdriver in here, you pry it off the cover, and the cover pops off like that. And we've got what do we got? This is, okay, so this is steel. So we have a steel frame, a steel brace, and plastic rivets holding it in. So we'll pop this stuff off later on. All right, so down inside here, looks like the motherboard is going to be underneath of here. We have a copper aluminum radiator here. I'll probably cut the copper off and put that piece in with my number 2, and along with this little nub here. And then that section will go as a copper aluminum radiator, a fan. We've got a DVD here. Oh, and they left the hard drive one here. So, all right, so let's go ahead and I think we'll take the hard drive out first. Oops, I forgot my bit puncher. Alrighty. Okay, slides forward, disconnect. Some shock mounted screws. Steel. Yep, just steel. And a hard drive. Let's see, this is a Seagate 500 gigabyte. So at a minimum, I'll pull the, because this was just a street scrap, I'm still just as careful with these as I am with any of my corporate clients. So this will get destroyed. We pull the board. Of course, once we pull the board, you can't use it anymore, but you still have the disk that the data is on. So I pop off the cover, destroy the disk, and now the data is protected. Grounding strap, that's probably got that's probably brass. And then we have a SATA cable and power cable here. So just insulated copper wire. And there's some little tiny gold pins in there, so I'll set that aside to go after those later on. Insulated copper wire. And there's little gold pins inside, gold plated pins inside of there as well. Come off of there. So on this board, you can see there's some MLCCs, some gold-plated pins, a jumper that'll have gold plating inside, more MLCCs, tiny little ICs. So mid-grade board, nothing on the back. So just a small mid-grade. We have a speaker here. I just throw that in with the shred. Some people like to go after the magnets that are in the speakers. I'm not one of them. I just throw it in with the shred. That's the other speaker. Let's round up the insulated copper wire here. Get in there. Doesn't want to go in the bucket. Tiny. Okay, that's pretty much a useless board. That'll go in the low grades. It's got a tiny little tactile switch that I'm not even going to bother trying to look and see if there's silver inside there, because if there is, it'll probably be too hard to even see, much less get at it. And then some tiny little resistors. So yeah, that's just going in with the low grades. The DVD is, let's see, we got a screw. This is probably just a keeper screw to keep it in place. Oh, there's a couple more little keeper screws down here. Alright, I was trying to slide it the wrong direction. Now, these new DVDs, these new DVD players, there just isn't much in them, so I just chuck these in with shred now. Some gold-plated pins inside here, so we'll keep these to see if I want to go after that. There is no gold sheen on here, so that's just going to be low-grade insulated copper wire. Not really even copper probably, but that's the way my yard does it. They just put all low-grade wire, whether it's copper or aluminum, they don't care. They just call it low-grade wire, and they're very picky about what they call low-grade versus high-grade wire, so everything pretty much ends up as low-grade as far as they're concerned. Alright, so we got the fan here. Alright, so little fan. You are loose. I'm not going to cut you yet. I want to see how much more copper is exposed here. All right, that is very compact. All right, so that's steel. I can tell right away. Yep, steel. Very compact motherboard. Interface, RAM. Wow, this thing had a rough life. There's rust in here. Kind of unusual. And so I'm glad I didn't cut that because there's more copper. So that I can cut off as number 2 now, the whole thing. And so that was, there's going to be, I'm assuming that's a BGA and some sort of CPU type card. We'll see. But you can tell these were the heat sinks, and this was taking the heat away to another externally exposed heat sink. Both BGAs. So even the main card apparently was BGA. So just those 2 little BGAs. And yeah, that's magnetic. Let's see, wait a minute, might just be the screws. Yeah, so it's just the screws that are magnetic on this. So the screws are ferrous. This is not magnetic, the silvery colored stuff. So that may be aluminum. Yeah, it bends pretty easy. So I'm guessing that's aluminum, and then we have the copper. And then this, of course, is definitely copper aluminum heatsink here. Little RAM. How much? 2 gigabytes. So that's a 2 gig RAM right there. So these connectors here have gold plating. All right, so we'll cut off that part there with the gold plating and set that aside. I'm going to leave it on here for right now because I throw it in here. That's stuff I know I want to go back and do some fine tuning on. I'm going to leave the cables on there to make it easier to find those gold plated pins. You are not gold plated there, so that's just going in the bit bucket. Interface board with copper, with gold fingers. Once the gold fingers come off, there's a little bit of gold plating there where those connectors went on. So there's some good gold recovery on there, even though it's a tiny little thing. There we go. Alright, so, well, not much on the other side, is there? Some ICs. Yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, there was some stuff on the other side, but not much. Alright, but that's still going to be a high-grade board. With my yard, a motherboard for some, at other yards. I'd have to go look on the Board Sort website and see how they would classify this board, because it doesn't have a socket. Normally their motherboards are classified by socket size, so I'd have to go see how they would classify this. Now, some other things to try to make note of: there's some gold plating on the edge of that battery connector there, so I probably pull that off and put that with my gold plated stuff. There's some MLCCs here that I could pop off easily enough without lowering the value of the board. Flat packs, probably leave those on. so that the board doesn't lose value. I'm not taking these off. These are this type of BGA shatters when you go to remove it, so it's kind of a waste of time trying to pull it off, and it's messy. So yeah, that's the same one there, so I don't mess with those. All right, so there you go, high grade board. A tiny little high grade board. Now we've got the screen down there underneath of this plate, and the question is, I don't think it's going to matter, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the steel plate off of here. I think I'll still be able to reconnect everything, and we'll see what kind of equivalent to a finger strip board is down here. Can you tell I've never done one of these before? Hey, while I'm wrestling with these screws, a quick reminder, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell with the all indicators so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks. All right, so we have the plastic frame. I'm going to hold on to that for just a minute. There's another little tiny board there with LEDs. All right, so just a whole bunch of little LEDs right there. Low grade. There's a board here that has a whole bunch of the really teeny tiny little tactile switches. I'm not going to mess with those. So there's not much else. This is just plastic frame now. I'm not going to go after these little brass things here. It's just too annoying, and they're just really tiny little brass connectors there. So I'm not going to mess with those. Sorry to the purists who are saying, why don't you go after everything? To each his own. All right, now this screen. We got some more screws here. Let's go ahead and get you off. So I have a plan for how I'm going to recycle this screen. Look at that. That is a nice compact screen. I'll bet you there's still a fingerboard underneath of there. All right, steel. Set you guys out of the way for a minute. Let's see, what do we got? Trash. They got enough tape wrapped around this stuff. Alright, just some insulated copper wire here. I was just checking to see if there were gold-plated pins that would pull out. They don't want to, so insulated copper wire. Let's see if this is a finger strip board hiding underneath of here. It does appear to be. That's awesome. Alrighty. Now, are you on there? Don't see any screws, so it should just be the tape was holding it on. That's cool. Alright, so that was a really easy finger strip board. Now, unfortunately, some of the gold, I don't know if you can see, but we've got gold fingers, and then here you can see the gold actually pulled off onto the tape elements there. But otherwise, this is a pretty classic finger strip board. All right, so that was the Gateway all-in-one computer, and the real value here: a motherboard, small motherboard, some other ancillary boards, the gold strip board, some low-grade boards, a RAM stick, a medium, a hard drive, a copper aluminum radiator, computer fan, some steel. More of the steel is in the steel bucket already, and some insulated copper wire. All right, that was the Gateway all-in-one computer.